Hello, welcome back. Let's say better luck this time, I hope. What do we have here? RAF collection, Airfix. This is quite old, probably in the 90s. It was a box of multiple models, some of which they clearly couldn't shift, others they could. And we have, I've got this somewhere, Hella Supermarine Spitfire, the low flying Mark, what is it, 16E, goodness. It's actually very simple but very enjoyable model. Hawker Demon, yes, I knew I'd done one before. Although I don't know if I did a program about it. Lovely model. RAF RE8. Now that I'm still in the middle of doing after about 7 or 8 years, because I kept losing things, and I think I've nearly got all of it in one place, and if so we will come back to it. One of the ugliest aircraft I've ever seen, one of the simplest and not very good models Airfix came up with, because it's incredibly early, incredibly ugly and just horrific pilot figures, and I love it to bits. And I wanted to make it just as I'd made it when I was a kid. Fantastic Fairy Battle, which is actually a beautiful aircraft, and a very good model. Enjoyed it very much, but I don't know what's happened to it. There it is. And Gloucester Javelin. Now we'll come back to that, because that ended up with one tiny problem. But it was a beautiful model of a beautiful aircraft. And finally, the one we're going to do, Harrier GR5. There it is in the bag, and I've sliced and diced the markings for it. It's got a lot of weapons, and I don't know that I want to put them on, but I might. It might be one of those, do a part 2 in a year's time. But I do like the Harrier, and I think it's a fascinating shape, so I don't want to clutter it up too much. This one's peculiar colours, but we'll go through the motions. So here we go, stand by everybody, let's get building. So they are the parts for the aircraft, which is not bad for a 1/72nd model, lovely. And there's all the weapons, which is not bad, quite a lot. And a bit of tail and conical thing. Which means I'm probably going to do it, yeah, I'll do it as 2 different projects, just because I like the shape so much. What a great aircraft. Funny we got rid of it. Never mind. Found it, or at least the box. Are we going to focus? No, of course not. Here's our Harrier. And all the other things. It is a fantastic way to flog junk, really, isn't it? You put a couple of good models in, and then put ones that aren't selling. I imagine over time that one didn't, in particular, and that wasn't a great model. It wasn't one that you go out of your way for. But I like that one for its simplicity and its antique value, shall we say. And then you get the usual stuff. And I got this second hand from a funny little shop that was shutting down. And I've made most of them. I made most of them when, in the early days, when the computer and camera had a major crisis. So what do we have inside now? Bubble wrap. And these. Quite an array. A small array. Oh, my little spiky bits come out. It was a nice model, and it was nice to do it with not too much weathering. And a whole bunch of other chaps. And the fabulous Dornier. Have we done anything on that one? And then a rather nice, surprisingly nice model from something like, oh, broken the gun. Bear with me. That took a bit, didn't it? That. It's a surprisingly nice model of a surprisingly nice aeroplane. By one of those Master Hobby or Mr. Hobby or some junk. Oh look, we got a damaged propeller. This one needs a little bit of care and attention because it hasn't been stored very well. But anyway, it's a really good model. I was surprised. But that's irrelevant because we're talking about this set. So there it is. What was this, 1990s or something? But there we are, collection of things, and that's enough on that really, isn't it? Let's get on. And here we have the RE8, which is one of the reasons I bought that set. And it never got finished because as I was building it, it ran into problems, had catastrophes, and no sooner had I mended one thing than something else had gone wrong, and then I lost the markings and so on. Now I think I've got most, but not all, of the bits, so we might be able to do a restoration job on this. First thing I lost was the that part of the tail, and then it fell down the back of something, and it was like, oh, I won't be clearing that out for a year or two, and then it went on, and then it got dropped, and the struts, I've only got 2 struts and I should have 3. Must be able to make a strut out of something. Then I lost the markings. The blue rings seem a bit big, but never mind. And now a prop has gone. So we could either do a crashed version, or we could just glue on the bits that we've got and just hope that it, you know, it's worth the bother. It's a very bizarre aeroplane, and it is such an old model. The figures are atrocious. They're so bad. I love them. Don't know if we can see. So I got one, the pilot. I've kept him, but then for some reason I put in a more professional fellow at the back. Probably because you can see him. And I wish I hadn't done that now. I know I've got that other fella somewhere. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, there's all this. We're way off track now, aren't we? This is for another day, but I thought I'd throw it in. Let's get back to our lovely Harrier. BAe Harrier, it says on the markings sheet. Anyway, let's go. Right. I thought I'd use a tripod today. Marvellous. It's all going so well. Anyway, here we are. Within a few moves, it's kind of all done. So the real sort of, apart from a few bits, from here, it's all weaponry. So like I say, maybe I'll do that as a separate thing another day. Leave it for a while. But anyway, it's come along. It does kind of just, you know, you hardly notice you're doing it sort of thing, except there are a few tricky parts which don't want to join up. I've given it a second spray, and it's highlighted the fact that there's an awful seam there. It's really grim. It's not much better on the nose. I'm now moving the tripod, I might as well have not bothered. And along here isn't much fun either. So it's a bit tricky at times, plus whacking great gap there. And I thought it was me not being able to line it all up, because that one goes together quite nicely. But this bit just didn't want to fit. So there's some slightly tricky patches, but on the whole it's all gone together. Not quite one of those that kind of clips itself together, but it's there. So yeah, That is really annoying, that one. But anyway, we'll move on. We will go on to other elements and see how it goes. Probably about time I put the pilot in as well. Is there a pilot? There is. There is. We'll get him sorted. Right. Next. Or is this end of part 1? I'll see. I'm not sure. Right. It's just waffle now, isn't it? Here we go. And this is an example of... I've got a bit of a whinge on at the moment, haven't I? But this is an example of uninspiring, overly detailed... Hello, dogs. Well, not overly detailed. I just don't know what. Pointless. Uninspiring and pointless parts. And these are particularly bad because they don't have any fixing points or shapes or whatever, and there's no holes or recesses or any lines to tell you where they go, and all they provide is 2 tiddly little bumps, which I know, you know, is accurate, but I wouldn't mind personally if they are moulded onto the fuselage, because an awful lot of other stuff is. So why pick on these 2? So that's the kind of thing that depletes my enthusiasm. Whinge over. Right, time to spray it green, because I know it was green. I know I've done it grey, but I'd sprayed it grey a long time ago. And I left a little note saying the paint wasn't adhering to some of the other models particularly well, so definitely need a good undercoat. So there we are. I've just realised I haven't got the right colour green in the spray, have I? But I think I've got it in a pot. Let's go off and search for paint. Next time you see it, hopefully it will be green. I think because I'm waiting for the paint to dry, we will call it end of part 1 and come back to this another day very soon, I would hope, once the paint's dry. And that means it... talking rubbish now. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you again soon. There might be some other bits of rubbish come along before we get back to this one, but I think you know, we're nearly there, so it shouldn't be too long. So see you again soon. Cheers.